Hey guys, Scott here from the Mental Metal channel and mentalmetaldetecting.com, and today we're going to do something a little bit different here in the channel. We're going to do a product review of something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and that's give test one of these digital ultrasonic cleaners. This one specifically is the CDS 100. I received it in the mail about a week ago, and so I wanted to give it a thorough unboxing and testing, and I wanted you guys to see it for yourself because I've heard good things about this specific cleaner. It's got really good reviews on Amazon, so I want to go ahead and give this one a try. So we're going to do an unboxing here, and then we're going to go into testing it to see how it works on different things like watches and jewelry and whatnot. And even we'll throw a couple coins in there too and see what they do to coins. So let's get the unboxing going. All right. So right now, this is the box it came in. Inside the box, make it closer so you guys can see, you have a set of instruction manual, or a instruction manual, or a user manual, I guess. That's important. We're going to need to know how to operate this thing. And then it's got a piece of styrofoam on top protecting it. That's good. I'm going to pull it out. It looks like it's wrapped in plastic, and it is. So we'll look in the box. The box has looks like a power cord to it. We'll take all this out. So nothing else is in the box. Set this down here so we can see it. This is your power cord. We'll pull this out of the plastic. Set the bag aside. So there's the power cord. There's the bag and the cleaner itself. So right now it looks like you got an on-off button, looks like a timer button. There's your plastic lid. This is, from what I've been reading, is the basket where you stick all your items in. This item right here is for a watch, if you want to put a watch in there, and it's, I guess you can't put watches in here that are not waterproof. So if you're going to clean like the wristband or the watch bands, you can put your watch on this and leave the face of it exposed out of the water, and then it'll clean the wristbands for you, or the watch bands. So that's pretty cool to have that. That's a nice feature. And then you have the basket itself, plastic basket, and then you have the cleaner, which is a stainless steel tank. It looks like it's got an arrow here in case, or I guess you fill it. Looks like we fill the water to this line in here. It says max. And then if you dump the water out, you're going to dump it this way, so it comes out that way. It's angled that way, so it'll be easy to wash out. So yeah, there it is. That's all that's in the box. You got your basket. You got your watch holder. Goes in there like that. You got your lid, and then you got your power cord. So let's hook this baby up. Let's put some water in it and do some tests. What do you think? All right, let's get to it. All right, guys. Before we do the add the water to the ultrasonic cleaner, I want to show you what we're going to test. So right here, I have an old watch. It is actually waterproof. Well, it's supposed to be. I'm not concerned about it if it actually gets water in it because I took it apart. But it's pretty corroded. It's pretty nasty. I'm not going to use the watch holder. I'm just going to stick it in there. We'll test that out. Here is a sterling silver bracelet that you can tell is somewhat clean, but we'll see what the ultrasonic cleaner will do to it. I have another sterling silver little bracelet here. We'll put that in there. I have an old ring that I found on the beach. I'm not sure if that's real or not, but it's pretty corroded and pretty nasty. We'll see what it does to this, what the cleaner does to this one. And this is the one I really want to test it against. This is a silver ring that I found on the beach last year. It's got a lot of tarnish and stuff on it. We'll see what happens when we put it in the solution. A couple other things, a little pendant here that's got a lot of dirt on it, baked in. We'll see what the ultrasonic cleaner can do to that. And a couple of the non-traditional things I'm going to stick in. I do have a couple. Here's a gold ring, my wedding band I'm going to put in there just to see what it does. I mean, it's already pretty clean, but we'll see. I have a couple earrings that are not gold, but they're jewelry, and we'll see what they do to those. And like I said at the beginning here, at the top of the at the bottom row here, I have a coin, a 1943 war nickel that's pretty corroded. It's got some marks on it and stuff, that some dirt has been caked in. We're gonna see if that comes out. I have an old token I found. I'm not worried about ruining the coin, but I'm gonna throw it in there anyway, and see if I can. If it turns out to be a little bit better than what I have right now, if it takes some of that dirt out of there, we'll see. And then I have an old flat button, has a back on it. I'm going to actually throw it in there and see what it does to the button. Now, if you have relics and things like that you found metal detecting like I do, use caution when you put anything in there like these kind of things. If you're not willing to lose them or ruin them, then I wouldn't do it. I'm just doing this as a test. But I'm really interested to see how the jewelry and the watch gets clean. So we're going to go ahead and add some water to the cleaner, and then we'll get started. I'll show you how everything is set up. All right, guys, I got everything set up. I have the cleaner in position. I've not added the water yet. I do have the cord running out. If you can see now on the right-hand side of the unit, the cord plugs in, snaps in perfectly. No issues there. And I have not plugged it in yet. I recommend leaving it unplugged until you get ready to use it. But right now, let's go ahead and take the basket out and add the water. Now, you'll notice there's a line in here, max. That's as high as you want the water to go. So we're gonna pour a little in there. Hopefully I got enough. We're gonna get it all the way up to where it says where the line is, max. And that'll about do it right there. Now, you don't need any special water. You just use tap water for this. It's what they recommend. I'm also going to put in a little dab of dishwashing soap. So once I get everything in my container. So what we're gonna do first, we're gonna do the jewelry first. We're gonna put the items in the basket. There's the ring. There's a little pendant there. Make sure they're spaced apart. We'll go ahead and stick this silver chain in there as well. And let's put this one into the other chain. Let's see what it does. And we're going to start with those 3 or 4 items. And what I'll do, once we kick this off, I'll actually take you off the stand and actually show you what it looks like with the bubbles and stuff. Hopefully it makes some bubbles. I'm going to put my little squirt of dishwashing soap in there. And that is done. So now what we're going to do is we're going to plug it in. I'm going to put the lid on this, like so. And let's give it a whirl. Let's plug it in and see what happens. All right, so I've got it plugged in. By default, it looks like it comes up and says 180. Let's see how many options we have. So you have 3, 480, 600, 90, 180, 300, 480, and 600. So I'm going to actually go and do the max amount of time. That's 600 seconds, okay? So we're going to go ahead and just click the on button and see what happens. So I heard it kick off a noise. I do see bubbles forming in there. Let me take you off the stand so you can see. We have a lot of seconds to go. We'll see if the water's changing colors or anything. All right, so I do see some water changing. Do see some bubbles happening in there. All right, we're about halfway through the 600-second process. The water's changing colors. It's getting a little darker, a little dirtier. Is anything getting cleaner? I don't know. I can't really tell yet. But the water is definitely starting to change colors, so we'll check back in here in a few seconds. What's really cool is if you look at the water, you can see that little glare on top, all the vibrations going through the water. That's pretty cool. It is getting darker. Cloudier, I should say. So this particular cleaner uses 42,000 hertz of ultrasonic energy waves to create millions of microscopic cleaning bubbles that are supposed to gently lift dirt and grime away. And that's what you can see here, that glare at the top. That's all the vibration and stuff going through the water. It's pretty neat. It's supposed to produce a deep and thorough clean and penetrate most difficult areas. As we showed you in the video, it's got 5 preset cleaning cycles. It's got 90, 180, 300, 480, and 600 seconds, and it automatically shuts off. So when we get down to our last few seconds, it should automatically shut off. And it's got a stainless steel tank, washing bucket, and watch holder. So pretty neat little machine. I think it is working. It's cleaning something. You can tell the water is definitely changing colors. We'll see what happens here when it's all said and done. Alright, we're coming down to our last 30 seconds here. The water is definitely changing colors. There is something going on in there, folks. Down to 20 seconds here. If you look closely, you can actually see that small chain actually vibrating at the bottom. Okay, we're down to our last 5 seconds here. Hopefully it shuts off automatically. And it does. Interesting. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to unplug it, and then I'm going to pull everything out of there, and we're going to take a look at it. Alright, we're going to unplug it. I don't like messing with anything that has water in it and electric. So it's a good idea to unplug it. And that way you know you're safe. We'll pull the basket out. Set it over here, but wow. Check out, I'll take you out of the tripod here. You gotta see this. Look how dirty that water is. Look at the stuff on the bottom. So it definitely kicked off some dirt. That's pretty good. Now let's take a look at the items themselves and see if they made any big difference. Put you back on the tripod here. All right, so let's take a look at the silver ring. I think it did something to it. It looks a lot brighter than it was. Huh. That's pretty neat. You know what? I think there's initials in that ring that I didn't even see before. Hold on a second. That would be something very interesting to learn, that there is actually an inscription in there. Someone's initials, and maybe a name is in there as well at the bottom. Huh. Didn't even know that before. Couldn't see it. That's pretty cool. I would say that definitely worked. And here's the little pendant that we had in there. I'd say that it did something to it as well. It looks like it's a lot brighter. Let me wipe it off here, dry it off. I'd say that's a little bit cleaner than it was. Let's check out the chains here. The silver chain. This one's gonna be harder to tell, but I definitely think it is a way shinier than it started out. Yeah, I think that definitely made a difference for the chain. Still sterling silver chain. And then the other little one in here. Can't really tell too much now, but I think it did make it a little bit cleaner. I'd say it probably did a pretty good job on that. What we're going to do now is I'm going to empty the water, replace the water, and we're going to try the coins and see what they do. I think that will be a very interesting test. All right, so let's change the water, and I'll be right back. All right, we have round 2 coming. We're going to add the water back in. I got all the dirty water out of there. You could probably reuse the water, but I think for the video I'm going to replace it, just so we can see a good contrast before and after. All right, so this time we're going to put in our dab of dishwashing detergent. We're going to put in our war nickel. It's all corroded. Now, I don't have a lot of hopes for this, but we'll see what it does. Here's that little token that has a lot of grime and stuff on it, packed in there. Move that around so you can see it. I'll stick this flat button in here. Again, don't recommend doing this, but if you don't want to if you want to ruin something, not worried about ruining it, then by all means, it's safe to do that. I'm going to stick these other items in here. Old junker earring, another junker earring. See what they look like, and I'll put my wedding band in there as well. It hasn't been cleaned in 23 years. All right, so what we'll do is again, we'll plug it back in, and in our final test, we'll stick the watch in there, my old watch, and see what it does to it, because it's pretty nasty. So we'll see if it's actually waterproof. All right, so here we go. Let's plug it in. And again, to plug it in, it's on the right-hand side. Very simple. By default, it comes up with 180, but I'm going to do 600 because I like to go to the max. And we'll just watch it and see what happens. Ooh, already I'm seeing some major stuff going on. Check out that token. Wow. So it's definitely doing something in there. It's definitely sending down or sending through 42,000 those bubbles. Oh, that's pretty amazing. That's just actually cool to watch. The nickel isn't really doing much. Well, actually, I do see some stuff floating off of it already. But man, that token, it's really going to town, and that button too. Yeah. All right, we are almost at the 300-second mark, and you can definitely see the color of the water is definitely getting dirtier. All the bubbling and stuff has stopped from what I can tell on the token, but there's still something going on in there. Water's still, vibrating. All right, we're coming up on our final minute here. 60 seconds to go. Things have definitely changed since we first started. The most that I saw happening was to the token, the coin in the middle. The button also had a lot of stuff coming off of it on the left. And then we'll see what happens with the war nickel. I'm wondering if that green stuff just can't be wiped off now that it's been through these 600 seconds of vibrations and bubbles hitting it. So we'll see. If it comes right off, I have a new technique for cleaning these old coins, silver coins that are really dirty and compacted, but we'll see what happens. We're down to almost 10 seconds to go here. And then we'll take the basket out and we'll take a look. Should be shutting off here any moment. There we go. All right, what I'm gonna do is put you back on the tripod here. All right. And so now what we'll do is we will unplug it, be safe. And let's take the basket out. Wow, there's a lot of dirt in there. I'll show it to you here in a second. Check out all the dirt in that round. pretty gnarly. Let's take a look at what we got here. All right, first one up, let's look at the button. Let's see if the button had any difference to it. I would say the button is looks pretty good. And got a lot of that dirt off that I saw in there. We'll dry it off and see. This is the one I really want to check out, the token. Did I toast the token by putting it in water? Probably, but it really vibrated off a lot of that dirt. Let's see if we can dry it out, what happens. Let that dry for a minute. And then the war nickel. Curious if that stuff flakes off. It's still on there pretty good, but it did make it a little bit more readable. You can definitely see the 1943 on there now. But it did not get all that green corroded stuff off, which I didn't think it would, but it was an interesting experiment nonetheless. All right, let me dry these other two off and see if there's a noticeable difference. All right, well, my verdict on these two items here that were my ones that I was really curious about, the token on the right and the button on the left, I don't think anything was done to make it worse than it was. I think you could read the letters better because I still had dirt and stuff on it for the token, but it does, I can clearly see where it says 1 basket of corn, and then on the button itself there was some button markings on the back, and they're still there. It's just we basically ultrasonic cleaned everything, so all that dirt and stuff's gone, so it's a little bit harder to read the letters, but they're still there. So I think overall the thing did its job. Let's check out the jewelry here that we put in there. So this is one of the junk earrings that I put in there, and it actually looks really clean from putting it in there as well. This one looks really good too. That's way different than it was when I put it in there. So the cleaner definitely works, no question about it. Here's my wedding ring. Hasn't been cleaned in 23 years. I think it did a good job on it, for sure. So I'm pretty impressed with this little machine. It does exactly what it says it's supposed to do. Now we're trying things we probably shouldn't be in here, but it still works pretty good in my opinion. All right, so what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna leave the water the way it is. It's dirty, I know it's dirty, it's okay. I'm gonna try to clean my watch. Now, I'm not gonna submerge the watch like I thought I was going to. I'm gonna use the watch holder just to see how well it does and cleans the band. The band's really dirty itself. It's been in and out of the water for years. It's grimy, it's dirty, but you can tell there's a lot of stuff inside of it. So we'll give it a shot, and then maybe we'll submerge it and see what happens. But I wanted to see how the watch holder works. So you basically, this is how I did it. Put it around, I strapped it in there. So then it sits real nice in the basket, like so. So most of it is submerged. Probably should do it a little bit differently, but for this test, we're gonna leave it as is and see what happens, all right? So let's go ahead and plug it in again. And this time we're just gonna leave it at 180 and see what happens. All right, 180. Go. Let's see what happens to it this time. So like I said, this is an old watch of mine that I don't care about, but I want to give it a shot anyway and see what it does to the watch band. All right, the machine shut off after 180 seconds. I'm going to pull it out. See what it looks like here. How well did it clean the watch band? And man, I think it's did a pretty darn good job, if you ask me. It was submerged up to that first right here, and you can see how much cleaner that is compared to above it. where it did not get in the water. So that's pretty significant if you ask me. Yeah, that worked out pretty good. Hey, let's go ahead and stick the whole thing in and see what happens. I want to see if it actually cleans the surface. Now, again, if it gets water in it, I don't care. This is an old watch, doesn't work. So I think it'll be an interesting test, though. So stay tuned 1 second. All right, it definitely cleaned that band up. You can see right here, this is where it was up to the water submerged. That's all clean in there, where this one right here was not submerged. There's still all that grime and stuff in there. That's pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with that, actually. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put the watch in face down, and we're going to do another 180 seconds and see what happens to the face of the watch. Again, this is an old watch. If it leaks, I'm okay with that. But it shouldn't, but I did have it apart, so I may have ruined the waterproofing that it had. So we're going to put that in. We're going to plug it back in. Run it for 180 seconds. All right. And let's hit go. And see how it does. If the watch doesn't survive, it is okay. But it will clean watches that are 100% waterproof. Anything that's just a water-resistant watch that just repels water, I would not stick in this ultrasonic cleaner, because it will probably leak into the watch itself. We shall see what happens here. But I am really impressed with the way it cleaned the band. That's pretty impressive. And the way it cleaned this ring, and I was able to see the inscription on the inside of it. And by the way, it does have initials, KY, and it does have the word sterling underneath it. So it's definitely silver. I could not see that before I cleaned that. So that was pretty cool. And it's going to be really good for jewelry. I mean, these look really good after cleaning them up. And even this silver chain looks really good too. So it's going to be awesome for jewelry. We're doing a couple experiments with a button and an old token. Probably would not recommend putting coins in there or anything like that, because anytime water hits anything like copper, I think this would probably copper, ends up ruining it in general. But the war nickel itself wouldn't hurt putting silver coins in there. It may help the silver coins. For this particular one, it was pretty tough to clean, so I'm not surprised there. But overall, I think that this little contraption, this ultrasonic cleaner CDS 100, is a keeper in my book. I'll definitely use it for a number of things. Definitely for cleaning jewelry, glasses, watch bands. That's definitely what I'm going to do with it. So we're down to our last 24 seconds here, and then we'll see what happens if there's any water inside the watch itself, but I want to see what it does to the face of the watch. That's the real test, because I'm hard on watches and they get really, really grimy. All right, final 5 seconds. 2, 1, 0. All right, we'll unplug it. And let's take a look. Let's take the basket out. That water is pretty gnarly. All right, let's give it a look and see. Did water get in? Well, I don't think it did, actually. But it looks pretty amazing. See how grimy it was before? Does not look that way anymore. And the seconds are still rolling in there. It's just the arms don't work because I broke it. But yeah, I would say that worked really well. That is a heck of a job cleaning that watch. That watch was really nasty. I'll dry it off a little bit to see what it looks like. But I'd say, yeah, this thing's for real. This is a pretty cool cleaner. And If you want one of these, I'll put a link in the description for you, and all the information will be in the description of the video. But I say, all in all, this thing's a keeper in my opinion. So the CDS 100 Ultrasonic Cleaner is a pretty darn good cleaner in my opinion, and that is my opinion. All right, guys, thanks for watching the video. Hope this was useful. It was something a little different than we normally do, but I had a chance to review this, and I wanted to. And maybe you can clean some of your items with this thing as well as I have. And now you know what you probably shouldn't put in there, but definitely the things that you can put in there. And you definitely could see the difference, especially in the watch and the jewelry. No doubt about it. This is definitely a pretty cool little contraption, and I highly recommend it to anybody out there that is interested in cleaning the same kind of items that I did. All right, that's all from me in the video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in another Mental Metal video.